And without further ado, let's go right ahead and talk about the second segment, which is going to be all about Franz Wagner and his contract with the Orlando Magic. So first off, Franz Wagner. Now, this is the problem. This is the big problem that I have with Franz Wagner's contract. You ask a casual NBA fan, they are most likely not going to know who Franz Wagner is. When you don't know who Franz Wagner is and you see this ridiculous contract that he signed a 5-year, $224 million contract with the Orlando Magic. Like, that is a huge sum of money to be paying someone who doesn't even average 20 points per game, someone who hasn't made an all-star team, someone who hasn't made an all-NBA, someone who has only made it to the first round of the postseason. That is a lot of money. And you obviously, there's going to be some people defending him, saying that he deserves all of that money, but no. I'll say it into the mic. No, he does not deserve all of that money. Now, again, like I said before, he hasn't made an all-NBA team, and the extension is going to start 30% of the following season's salary cap and pay him a projected $269 million over 5 years, according to ESPN. This is a similar structure to the contract extension that the Raptors signed with Scottie Barnes. The difference between those two players is that Scottie Barnes was an all-star. Scottie Barnes, before he got injured, led his entire team in every single statistical category. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. He led them in every single one of those categories. Scottie Barnes deserves that money. Franz Wagner, on the other hand, no. I do not think he deserves that money at all. I'll read you his stats. He averaged 19.7 points per game. Again, roughly under 20 points per game. But again, if you're making that much money, you should be able to average at least 22, in my opinion. 48% from the field, and get this, 28% from three. 28% from three. Like, that is really, really, that is bad. That is really, really bad. Now, one of the positive things about him, because I don't like talking like negatively about all of these players, is that his 2-point efficiency, like his points, like taking twos, is really efficient. He shoots 57% inside the arc. So and it's only increased over the years. So again, not really that bad, but it's that 3-point percentage that really, really bugs me. And maybe you guys are thinking, oh, well, maybe he played really well in the postseason and that's why he got so much money, because he came out and he performed. No. He averaged 18.9 points per game, so that's less than what he averaged in the season. 40% from the field, way less than what he averaged in the season. 26% from three, way less than what he averaged in the season. And 47% with inside the arc. That is almost a 10% difference from shots with inside the arc. And you want me to talk about his rebounds or his assists? His rebounds, they increased in the postseason. Sure, that's I'm sorry, like rebounding, it's whatever in my opinion. I mean, obviously, it's really, really valuable, but most of the rebounds are rather inflated with the defensive rebounding. Like, in my personal opinion, it's like the rebounding in basketball, if you're not a center, I don't really find it that valuable, because you're just getting the rebound off of cherry pick defensive rebounds. Like, every single team that plays offense now, they just get back on defense. The defensive rebounds are almost completely uncontested. And this is one of the big reasons why Russell Westbrook was able to average so many rebounds, because, Steven Adams, he would get the box out, but Russell Westbrook would go ahead and get the rebounds because most of them would be uncontested, because everyone gets back on defense. And his assists, now on the Orlando Magic, he's not really known as a passer. He only averaged 3.4 assists for his career, 3.7 last year, and 4 in the postseason. Now, obviously, he's not a playmaker, and that's not the reason why they gave him this extension. They gave him this extension because of his scoring. Now, the Orlando Magic, they feel like his three-point shooting is going to, like that last year of his three-point shooting being 28%, is just a fluke. Because the previous years, he averaged 35% from three in his rookie year and 36% from three in his sophomore year. Now, the amount of threes that he shot from his rookie to his sophomore year and like to the year currently that he's in right now is roughly the same. So his three-point percentage just dropped. Like, he just didn't have a good three-point shooting. And the fact that they decided to give him this this ridiculous contract, I just don't understand it. Like, he's not a max contract player. He has not proven himself to be a max contract player. And when you look at it from the perspective of what Paul George was able to sign with the 76ers and how the Clippers weren't even willing to pay him all that money, it just makes me even more confused. Because Paul George, like, I'll read you his stats right now. He averaged 22 points, 41% from three, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, and 1.5 steals. And he's also already proven himself as being an all-NBA player, an NBA defender, like a really competent defender. His defense has somewhat lacked a little bit because they need him a little bit more on offense, right? But he's already proven himself to be an offensive talent in the league. And I understand people are saying that he's getting old, but you would much rather have an experienced player that has all NBA talent to make that much money as opposed to someone who doesn't have all that talent to make that much money. Like, that's just me personally. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this sort of signing. I just don't think that he's worth all of that money. I genuinely do not think that he should be making max contract level money, because I feel like there are so many other players in the league that should be making more than him, but they aren't. Now, a lot of his defenders, like Orlando Magic fans, are going to say that he deserves it, and that he also, let me just, adjust the camera a little bit here. And they also think that he's eventually going to be worth that much money considering how he's been developing. But if he doesn't have that three-point shot as a small forward in this league, I don't see this contract being worth that much at all. Like, this is just bad. Like, I'm sorry, this is just not it for me. Like, I think this is arguably like one of the worst contract signings I've ever seen coming from Orlando. And in fact, period. Like, out of every single free agent signing, he is the most overpaid in the entire NBA right now. And you guys might think, oh, well, what about OG Anunoby? I mean, he is like getting paid so much money as well with the Knicks contract. And while I do agree that OG is rather overpaid, and maybe he shouldn't be making all that money considering he hasn't averaged 20 points per game ever, he brings immense value to the team, and he's already proven that he has value because the team is winning. Like, the team has won more games with him than without him, and his value isn't as a scorer, but rather as a defender. And on top of that, he has a great three-point shot. I mean, he shot 39% from the three as a Knick and was 48% from the field as well as 55% from the 2-point from within inside the arc. So I would much rather have given OG Anunoby that much money, because not only does he bring immense value on the defense, but he also is consistent, and that is the key, consistency. And he does have what it takes to be an all-NBA defender, in my opinion. But that's all I have for this second segment. So now we will go ahead and talk about the third segment. I mentioned Paul George in this segment, so that's going to be what the third segment is about. right after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.